the first year was running the executive protection for Gates
Okay.
because it was broken, totally broken. The guys were afraid of him. When he would come into a venue, they'd run away. They'd hide literally behind potted plants. And I would ask the HR folks or the legal folks, they think Bill doesn't want to see him. Well, of course, if they're doing this, he doesn't want to see them. So we established a relationship with him as to the rules of engagement. Got to know as you know, if you get to know the admins very well, they're your bread and butter, right? Um, and then I got elevated the next year to chief security officer, and it was it was great. I never thought I'd ever work in private industry. I'm a government guy, and I learned so much about what I didn't know, but I also learned the value of really holding people accountable and understanding the value of a dollar
Mm.
and how well that dollar needs to be spent for that company and for the shareholders.
Hmm.
But I believe in those 16 years, we developed at one point, we were the number one global security organization in the world because we were so disjointed. We had no strategy. We had global footprint, but very global. We had global mandate, very little global footprint.
Mm.
If it was a threat of violence against an executive in Paris, we'd fly investigators from US who didn't speak the language, didn't know the culture. So the whole idea was building talent within the regions,
Yeah.
having that talent sync with the business units so that we understood business. Because my mantra was we're business people first. Our business just happens to be security. One of the Oh man, when I was still running executive protection, I got invited to a staff meeting where where my then boss Charlie was working for a VP. That VP ran this organization that had included physical and technical security and all these other areas. And the typical staff meeting: go around, go around. What do you do? What's the update? What's the update? He gets to the person that was then running physical security, and he said, "Wait, what do you do? What do you do again?" He said, "I run physical security." "Oh, you mean the guys that run around in the white vans?" That was his whole idea of what security was about. And we had to change that perception because we dealt with kidnapping and extortion, with crisis management and getting people out of harm's way. We dealt with obviously executive protection, investigations, threats of violence against our employees, against our executives. So we had a whole mandate that a lot of the heavy hitters in the C-suite had no idea. They just thought, oh, yeah, the people in the white vans and the security guards driving around. And so for a big part of that, as they say, the first part of that 16 years was to rebuild the team, bring in top talent, get rid of the folks that weren't along for the ride and weren't team players, getting buy-in from the C-suite, getting money, because we ended up being three ops centers, one in the UK, one in Hyderabad, India, one in the US, that had total interoperability to the point where if Redmond, Washington, where we were outside of Seattle, our headquarters, if we went down, because we monitored North America, South America, all the Americas with camera coverage. We had probably 1.22,000 cameras globally in our ops centers. If we went down, either Paris or the UK could take over all North American operations. They could lock down any door in any of our campuses. They could access any camera. We used to do demos where they could do radio over IP and dispatch our guards in Redmond from Paris, knowing where every shift was and who was working that shift. We got to that point because we were able to do a good business case. And why I say we were one of the best, if not the best at the time, a lot of my peers, fellow CSOs, would come and benchmark with us. How did you get the buy-in? How did you develop the strategy? What technologies did you use, and how did you decide how to use those technologies? That we became very efficient. We were asked to speak to all kinds of conferences about what we did, and it was a very heady experience. And I learned a lot about myself too. I needed to grow my emotional intelligence better. Earlier on, I was very good at I was good at finding talent. I wasn't good at being as direct as I could be with my talent. I could be very subtle. And sometimes some of my troops said, "We don't like subtle. We just tell us." if we're doing something wrong, we're doing something right, and that kind of stuff. But it was, yeah, it was an awesome time. I really enjoyed those years. Got to use some of those skills from the government there, but also get to hone new skills about business and understanding what business is all about, P&Ls, and really integrate ourselves with the business. So yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
If you enjoyed that clip, watch the full episode here or another clip here.